Hey, Riding Side Saddle, we're back.
Hello,
It's Tammy,
and Lisa.
and we're back with the book club.
We are.
It's part 2.
So it's like a holiday recording book club today.
Yeah, for us, it is right before the 4th of July.
Yeah. We're doing this midday, which we usually don't.
On a Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, we normally do it during the week at night.
So it's a little bit of a different dynamic where we parked our recording studio and trying to navigate that. But I think we'll be
we
okay.
can't have the windows down because somebody's having a really fun garden party and we can hear their music. So we had to roll up the windows.
It was good music.
I know.
I kind of wanted to be there.
If we could have left the windows down and had some background music, that would be really fun. But we'll probably run into some copyright problems if we do that.
That's true. That's true.
We probably shouldn't.
And then you would have been listening to me like karaokeing while we're trying to do book
probably
club,
also
so,
not a good idea.
I mean, for anyone listening.
That'd be fun if you're in the moment.
I didn't say I was good at it.
Yep, so we're in the park with the windows rolled up and the air turned on, and we're just going to finish our book.
Yeah.
So the book that we are reviewing this season is called Clean Mind, Clean Body, a 28-day plan for physical, mental, and spiritual self-care by Tara Stiles.
Yeah.
So we left off on page 58 at the end of our first episode. We got a lot of work to do
We do.
in this because we really wanted to finish this in 2 episodes.
And we will. At the end of this book, she really does have a lot of different exercises and different references. So I'm confident.
I think we can do it.
We'll do it.
Yeah. So when we left off, we were talking a lot about cleaning up your physical space, cleaning up your body, moving your body, cleaning up your mental space with maybe meditation, things like that, cleaning up your relationships. I think that we left off somewhere in there. So the next section is spiritual detox. So, boy, I feel like this could get really heavy and really loaded. So if we're going to move along, we might have to be not quite so deep. We might have to keep it a little bit lighter.
That's fair.
I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but we'll just see. We'll just go along and see where we get.
Well, Tammy will probably give me the look and the finger sign to wrap it up. Like,
move it along.
All right.
Move it along, sister. So it's on page, where are we at? Page 65? Yeah, page 65.
Yep.
My first tab is on the first page, and she's talking about how at different points in our lives, some of us may start to wonder, like, what am I doing here? What's my purpose? Looking for that deeper meaning. And she talks about how we often call this a midlife crisis, or, something along those sorts of phrases. She calls it a crisis of spirit.
Yeah.
The search for deeper meaning and purpose against the backdrop of our busy lives. It can be a source of stress and angst.
Absolutely, it can. I know this is your tab, and I did not tab that, but I feel that, like real deep.
Yeah.
I've been in that crisis of spirit space for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, for sure, where, you start to disconnect or try to, or even question the disconnection from your busy life cycle. And so
There has to be more than this.
Yeah.
This is not why we came here. This cannot be what I am doing right now. Living this busy life where I can't even breathe cannot be the reason why I came here. And it just can't be the purpose.
And you feel like you're a hamster on a wheel to nowhere.
Absolutely.
And Tammy says that so often. This is not why we're here. Right. You say that just in conversation that we have, texting back and forth.
For sure.
This is not the reason we're here.
It isn't.
And
it's a distraction to the reason we're here.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that, like, those types of things kind of what constitute, for me, a crisis of spirit. Like,
absolutely.
I want to cut all of that shit as much as I can.
All of the nonsense, the busyness.
Yeah. So that I can focus on fulfillment.
Why
perhaps.
am I here? So she talks about that and says that she wants, how does she say it? My goal for you during this week is to recognize that cultivating your spiritual side should be part of your daily practice, like making your bed, like brushing your teeth, like meditating. I want you to feel aligned with a greater sense of purpose in all that you do throughout the course of your day. Well, that's fine and great. But when you're up to your eyeballs in things that you have to do because you have a job and a boss who's expecting performance and, reports and whatever your job is, some sort of output, it's really hard to then think about your greater purpose while you're doing this thing that you don't really want to do, but you have to do because you need a paycheck.
It does. It feels in contrast. Really.
Absolutely.
Like it doesn't align.
Right. She says, I want this purpose to be what leads, guides, pulls, and carries you through life, both during good times and challenging times. This chapter is about rediscovering what it means to be uniquely and wonderfully you. That's really beautiful.
It is. It's something to aspire to.
That.
And here's the thing. Maybe if your crisis of spirit happened when you were leaving high school, ending college, in a place in your life
when you had less responsibility,
that you
less
weren't
adulting.
Yes, that you weren't quite as in the rut of responsibility as you are when you're 45,
right?
And you have people, or in 50, and you have people relying on you, and
a lifestyle to uphold.
Yeah,
right.
For yourself and for other people,
for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
To make that shift to say, this really doesn't align with who I am or who I aspire to be. I'm going to stop doing this.
Right.
I'm not saying it's impossible. And again, it is something that is an aspiration, but it isn't quite something that you can snap your fingers and just do it.
Nope. No, I think that's really true. And as we're talking, I'm remembering when we met with Heather.
Yeah.
An episode that we did with her in season 2, and how she came to that crisis of spirit and had to reevaluate everything.
Yes.
Including, what does need actually mean?
Right. And she was
redefine
forced.
that.
Well, she was forced into
Absolutely.
that situation, and any of us could be there too,
At
right?
any moment.
I've been pussyfooting around this for a really long time, and now it's true crisis. Now it's crisis of spirit and crisis of body.
Right.
And I need to make a change. And it doesn't matter how drastic it is or what kind of lifestyle I had before.
Right.
I need to change this,
right.
or I won't have a life.
Not on earth.
Right.
Yeah. Heaps.
Yeah.
Well, so that rolls into my next tab when she talks about how we ignore our spirit until a painful or unpleasant experience serves as a wake-up call and brings us back to what is truly important in life.
So exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. It's easy to go through life on autopilot, she says, ignoring what is not serving us until something stops us in our tracks, like a health crisis, for instance.
Or a mental health crisis.
Sure.
Right. Like physical or mental, emotional.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whether this wake-up call arrives in the form of burnout, illness, or tragedy, it jolts us into action and forces us to change. And for some of us, multiple wake-up calls are needed. That would probably be me.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. It's interesting, and I know that we're buzzing along here and we have a whole third section, but as we're talking about this, like, I can pinpoint several pivot points perhaps in my life.
Yeah, that's what you call them.
That I would imagine that it would be like, oh gosh, I just got slapped in the face pretty hard by life. This might be an opportunity for me to make some changes.
Sure.
Right? I've had really significant health issues. I've had relationship traumas and changes throughout my life. I've had, my youngest daughter was not a planned pregnancy. That was a really big shift for me. And at all of those points in time, had I been perhaps maybe in a little bit of a different place of maturity, and some of it did, I suppose, in retrospect, like, it shifted me more into recognizing that there's more to life than what you see. But it did not push me in that direction because I was already rooted. I was already rooted to be able to say, yeah, hold the bus. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this like this anymore.
You were already there. That was like just the final little push.
I was already too stuck. So I had pivot points in my life where it might have, it should have, if I look back and been like, oh, well, that would have been like, I don't know.
Been a good time to make a turn.
Right. Like when you're diagnosed for the second time to go through chemo and have like craniotomy, like that might have been a great time to, like, I don't know, reevaluate where you are in life and how you're approaching it. But no, not for me.
No, we'll just power through that craniotomy.
Right. I mean, I've done this once before, so.
Jeez, Lisa. Wow, way to take it to an extreme.
but
it's true.
That was my reality.
Happened. That actually happened.
Sometimes I extrapolate, right? And I go a little extreme to make a point, but that actually happened.
Right. Wow. I think for me, I had 1 year where it was multiple things, and it wasn't necessarily my own physical health, but it was people who were close to me, and it really was like my feet got knocked out from under me time after time after time in less than a 12-month span. It was like about a 6-month span, 9 months maybe, and by the end of the year, I was not functional at all. And I did take a leave of absence from work.
Yeah.
And because I couldn't, I truly was not even functional. So I had to stop. And I had to look inside, and I had to do some work because I can't go back to that.
Right.
The way I was before led me to that moment where I was like, I can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
I can't function. So I can't do that again. It caused me to start making some changes. It was not a light switch flip.
Right.
But it did cause me to start making some changes. I started reading some books. I started getting in touch with people who were maybe a little bit further in that path, than myself, and learning from them and allowing them to guide me, and leaned on some really good friends and family, and that's how I made it through. And it's a very slow journey. I'm still in the same job that I was in, so it's not like I changed my whole life and now I'm meditating all day, because that's not happening. But I did have to make some serious changes for myself and learn about boundaries and why they're important. It's more than important, it's an absolute necessity. So and I'm still working on those things regularly.
Yeah.
I often find myself sliding back down that slippery slope and have to catch myself. Oh, I'm doing it again.
Well, it's easier.
I'm people pleasing again.
Yes.
I'm doing things that I don't want to do just so I can keep the peace, so I can not have confrontation, and I got to stop it because I know where that's going to lead me.
It's easier.
Absolutely. In the moment.
Well, correct. You know how to do it because you've been doing it your whole life.
Sure.
It's like second nature, and and most of the time it doesn't require conflict. Right. So it's easier.
Yep.
Whew. All right. What's your next tab? Let's stop talking about that
one. I don't know. Let me look here. Because some of it is what we're already talking about, so I don't want to, beat a dead horse, as they say. So relaxation. Like, this is a big part of spiritual practice, right? And it is what we're talking about, where you are forced to slow down.
Yeah.
So rather than being forced to slow down with a health crisis, mental health, physical health, what have you, financial health, allowing time and space for relaxation.
Yeah.
You have to reset. Your body needs that time. And it's not just the 6 or 8 hours while you're sleeping. That isn't enough. So not in today's life, it isn't.
No.
So she's talking about how the relaxation response is the opposite of the fight or flight stress response. It brings the body back to a place of healing and repair. The more time we can spend in a state of relaxation, response, and flow, the healthier and more spiritually connected we become.
You know what's really interesting? And so I know that I am an overdoer. I know that by nature, aka by conditioning, if I'm not doing something actively productive, I have a sense of guilt about that. So even when I deliberately say, nope, I'm not doing anything, it actually is not relaxing for me because I have guilt around it. And that's one issue, right? So that, but because of that predisposition, I think for me, I recognize that this relaxation response, it isn't, as the analogy that you had said, it isn't a light switch. Okay, now I'm relaxing. Okay, now I'm in fight or flight. Right. Yeah. I think that there is something to be said about finding a place of balance with that for your own personal self, right? Not everybody's like me, thank goodness. But for me, I think it would be, do things because that is a sense of relaxation to you, because your mind allows you to relax while you're doing things. But evaluate what you're doing. Like, they don't all have to be, must be done now. It's high stress, get it done or die type of feeling, because that's fight or flight.
Yeah.
But if I enjoy puttering around in the yard, that can be relaxing, right? It doesn't mean that I'm sitting still.
Right.
But it can absolutely be relaxing.
For sure. So it's summer in Wisconsin, and this time of year, gardens, if you garden, need a lot of attention, right? And I find myself often at the end of the day watering my garden. It's not sitting on the couch. Right. It's not doing nothing, but it is relaxing. I can feel my just stress and pressure and my whole body just relax.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't have a particularly stressful day, just being outside, tending to my plants, that I can feel it. It just all comes down. So
there's science around that. That's called negative ions.
Well, I'm not grounded. Like, I have shoes on because our grass is so dry. We're in the middle of a drought, but just still, being outside, tending to green things.
Still, yes, you are receiving negative ions.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yep. So that, like, scientifically supports exactly what you're talking about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I get that same feeling when I am, if I go hiking in the woods or whatever.
Yes.
So that's what it is. It's the negative ions.
Yep, it is.
Which feels like, and I don't know anything about ions, but almost like they are, I don't know, cleaning out, like, trees are air filters, right?
Lifting your energy.
Yeah.
Is what it's doing.
Nice. Well, that's pretty cool.
So look at you.
Thanks for that.
Look at you detoxing.
And didn't even know it.
Didn't even know
it. Well, one of the things that she talks about, in addition to like just slowing down, is, so how do you do that, right? Because to your point, Lisa, we can't all just easily just sit and do nothing and call it restful.
Right.
Because it doesn't really feel that way a lot of times.
Correct. And depends on, where you are in your life, and if you have small children, and
absolutely
people who are in need of you, and all of those things.
Right. So, and we can't, most of us can't just pick up our life and move to, an ashram somewhere. I think she talks about that, how that's not realistic, right? So we are in our lives, and you have to find out ways to function in our busy lives, right? So meditation, and she gets into some of that she says, what if meditation were an energy drink or a supplement? We'd all buy it. We'd all gulp it down. It'd be the hottest thing flying off every shelf, right?
It sure would.
And it wouldn't matter how much it costs.
Right.
But meditation is free.
It is.
And it's, relatively easy, right? So it is the just sitting.
It is.
And being still and allowing your mind and body to just be without having it do something.
Correct. And it does, and meditation, you can do that in baby steps.
For sure.
It doesn't have to be the picture of perfection and an hour long and get like incredible downloads from the universe.
Right.
It can simply be 5 minutes of just peace.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She goes into other things about vagus nerve and things like that. I don't know a whole lot about that, but she says that the vagus nerve is tied to the stress hormone cortisol.
Yeah.
And if you are a perimenopausal or menopausal woman like that,
ding, 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 ding.
Absolutely, that is ruling and ruining lots of things.
It is.
So it's important. She even talks about how it's tied to the amount of inflammation that your immune system produces. So the vagus nerve is really important. Taking care of that through meditation might be a good idea.
Yeah, well, there's a number. I've done a little bit of research on vagus nerve, not enough to be an expert by any means, but there are a lot of ways to be able to help support the toning of your vagus nerve.
Yeah.
That I don't like. It's not something that we necessarily consider, but your vagus nerve is central to your entire body. Like, it is as important. It is very important, like spinal cord or central nervous system important.
Wow.
Like in that bucket. It is something to look at. I'm going to have to do some
research into that, because I think I need more of that, because I have way too much cortisol. I know I do. And inflammation.
Yeah.
And
we both have inflammation.
I'm just swollen. I'm not fat.
I believe that, because that's what I have. Before, I know you're moving ahead, but I want to be as efficient as possible to make sure that we get through this. But I do have to call you back. To one of the exercises that she has in here. It's not on a page number. It would be page 71 if it were numbered.
Okay.
But it talks about exercising while cooking. Oh, no. Oh, they must have skipped numbering.
Oh, I don't have that. So this comes... Okay, you were looking at some yoga poses. That's later on in my book. I wonder why our books aren't the same.
Well, that's weird. I think there's multiple. Weird. There it is.
Oh, maybe not.
Yeah.
Oh, I just didn't flip the right. They're numbered differently.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. All right.
They just don't number them. That's the point.
But my 71 and your 71 aren't the same, are they?
So my 71, if I was just counting back, it actually is not numbered.
I know, but look at your page 71.
We're going to have to cut this out.
Or not.
Okay. Right here.
Oh, all right.
So that little section is just not numbered.
Right. So it's right after page 72. It's all in color, and there's lots of yoga poses and things like that.
Yes.
I just wanted to be clear so that people can follow along.
It's okay. It's on week 4 in that little colored section.
All right.
It says exercises while you're cooking.
Oh.
So she's doing a tree pose next to her blender, and right by her blender that she has her really good fruit smoothie in it. She's also doing a dancer pose.
That looks painful. I don't think I can do
she's
that.
right next to the stove.
Oh.
I was just going to say,
light your ass on fire.
I mean, she might do great. Me, on the other hand, that is not a position that I want to do right next to the stove.
I would. She has a gas stove there. I think, I would light myself on fire. I don't think I can do that in the kitchen, but I could move away from the stove and do some of these poses.
I was just going to caution you. If you're going to do this,
be careful.
Right.
Mindful of your environment.
Your physical space.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we can proceed now.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm back to page 85.
Okay.
So, page 84. The top of page 84 talks about how we pack our schedules full during the week, thinking we can slow down and recharge on the weekend or on vacation, right? But it doesn't really work that way.
No,
when
it
you've
doesn't.
when you've been, pedal to the metal all week long, by the time you get to the weekend, you just collapse in a heap, and you have like negative energy. Now you've got to make up just to get to zero. There isn't any recharging happening.
Accurate.
You're not even at just a basis point.
Accurate. We used an analogy actually during our planning session, aka lunch, and we were talking about, if you're full up to your top, whatever that is, if you're full up to your top and you take a little bit off the top and call that your weekend recharge,
right?
That doesn't actually give you a whole lot to play with, right?
No.
You take a tiny bit off the top, and as soon as one amount of stress comes back into your life, you're over full
overflowing
again.
and stress and cortisol again. Yeah. She says spending your weekend on the couch in sweats, eating junk, and binge watching Netflix is not a healthy recharge. This sort of yo-yo lifestyle is a guaranteed recipe for burnout and for our bodies rebelling against us and getting sick. So that is exactly what I tend to do.
Yeah.
I just had this recently, I don't know, a week or two ago, where I said to my husband, it was a Friday, and I said, so this weekend is a no people weekend. I've declared it to be so because I am at that point where if I don't get some quiet time and some time to do absolutely nothing, I'm already feeling like I don't know if I can get up and brush my teeth tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm over the edge.
I am over the edge. So I need it to be a no people weekend, which he hates. He absolutely hates it. He recharges by having people around, and I am the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm reading here is that allowing myself to even get to that point, too late.
Right.
It's way too late.
You're bubbling over.
Right. You're
bubbling over.
Absolutely.
And taking that tiniest bit off the top is not
enough.
You.
Right. It did help me reset to get to like zero again. At least I wasn't below zero.
Right.
Right. But that is not, zero should not be the place where you feel functional. Like, because you're not functional at zero.
Some of the things that she recommends, right, for slowing down, practicing different things, it kind of speaks to some of that negative ion stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the nature walks,
Yep.
right? Now that's going to change some of that energy from overwhelm and negative to something that's truly recharging, something that's more positive.
Yeah.
She, a DIY bathroom spa. Well, she talks about Epsom salts in there.
Yeah.
And again, there's some energetic aspects to being able to support yourself.
Salt water is
with
really
that.
good for your body.
Yes, essential oils and Epsom salts. Quiet time. Well, quiet time is but quiet time is quiet time. It's not like I'm going to catch up on my most recent binge-worthy series.
Right. Well, and so when Josh and I have these discussions about why do you need so much time alone? You're home by yourself all day, Tammy. And I said, but I'm working.
Right.
That is not restful time.
Right.
You're with people all day when you're working. Do you feel restful when you're done?
Right.
No, you don't. That isn't how you recharge. Just because I'm alone in my house working does not mean that it is restful for me. It's not recharging. It just means I don't have anybody in my space.
It only means that nobody can hear me bitching about something when I'm bitching aloud.
Right.
But but I'm still being tapped.
Absolutely.
My energy is being taken.
Yes.
Continuously.
Right.
Whether it's virtually or face to face.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I suppose for some people their jobs do fill them up. Mine does not.
Mm-hmm.
I do it because I need it. I need that paycheck. It's some mental stimulation. There are reasons why I do it, but it does not fill my cup up.
Right.
I don't leave at the end of the day feeling charged up and ready to take on the world.
I think that you're with the majority.
I agree.
The vast majority of people.
For sure.
Right.
Even if you feel like you have a fulfilling career, it does not have to mean that fulfilling career actually fills your soul.
Correct.
It meets other needs.
Right.
And that's all fine and great, but it does not mean that it fills you up.
Right.
So when he says things like, well, you're home alone all day. Why do you need to be alone some more? Because I'm not actually alone all day. While I might not have another human in my actual space, that doesn't mean that I'm alone with myself.
Agree.
I'm answering emails. I'm responding to clients. I am, looking at people's problems and figuring out how to solve them and analyzing information. None of that is restful.
Agree.
So at the end of the day, I'm just as tired as if I had been in a room full of people all day.
Because you have been.
Right.
But they're just, 50 miles away.
Right. They're not
Yes.
literally in my eyesight.
Right.
Yeah.
You can roll your eyes easier without people knowing.
I roll my eyes in the office too. Everybody does. Everybody does.
That's true. So she talks a little bit about, on page 86, she's talking about shiatsu. And this is very interesting to me.
What is shiatsu?
Well, I should know more about shiatsu because my husband's an acupuncturist.
Yeah.
But this, I believe, is just kind of like utilizing pressure points to be able to stimulate them for particular outcomes.
Like to stimulate the vagus nerve?
I mean, that
Don't
could
know?
be.
Oh.
I don't think that it is specifically geared around vagus nerve. I think that you could probably stimulate a point for a vagus nerve outcome.
Oh, okay.
But like this is very similar, I think, to acupuncture, except it's using pressure,
acupressure.
not needles. Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Interesting.
So some of the things that she talks about here to be able to kind of stimulate some rest and relaxation in your body. So to shift from the fight or flight into relaxation physically.
Yeah.
She talks about different areas where you can do that. What areas are holding tension and tightness.
My whole body?
Yeah. I mean, fair enough, but you could start somewhere, right? But using the meridians to be able to, hone in on what areas will help support that relaxation, perhaps to the whole body, right? What pressure point do I need to massage or press into for a little while to allow my body to recognize that it's okay to relax, to shift gears from that fight or flight tense tension type of situation.
Interesting.
So that I need to learn more about that, actually.
I need another tab.
use from one from before. Rip it in half.
She also talks about pleasure reading, like just reading for fun, which I do a lot. And I think of it as an escape. And sometimes I recognize, so there's something that I just don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read because it's too hard to look at this big pile of yuck over here, and reading is an escape. And sometimes that just has to be enough.
Well, and fair enough. I think
otherwise I get stuck in that fight or flight. Actually, I get stuck in freeze.
Yes, right. And everything, I think, could be, if it's out of balance, then it can be an escape, right? I could sit there and pressure point shiatsu all day long, but it's not going to solve any of the problems that I'm dealing with.
Right.
You are
Excuse me while I rip this tab.
She even put it at the top of her page.
So that I go back and look at that again. I really want to look at that. Apparently, it didn't occur to me that it was much to think about before, but now that you've talked about it, that makes sense.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks. Yay. All right. So then we've got, setting an intention for the day. I'm not really very good about that either.
I'm not necessarily good about that, but I will tell you this book has allowed me or shone a light for me as it relates to gratefulness. And it probably talks about this, and I'm speaking ahead of where I should.
You didn't use enough tabs.
Probably not. I'll have to rip one too. I
could share.
And then I'll have to open the windows.
Oh, Lisa.
Anyway. So I haven't gotten to the place where I'm setting an intention for the day, but I am deliberately thinking about one thing that I'm grateful for that day. So I was out of town recently and left my home to my daughters to take care of and manage for a couple of days. And they, when my daughters were very young, we got a chalkboard that we put up in the kitchen, and we'd have fun drawing on it with colorful chalk. And it rarely gets used now, but once several, I don't know, it's got to be 2 or 3 years ago, somebody put something on there. It was a picture. And I just haven't erased it, and it's been there for a really long time. Well, while I was gone, somebody chose to erase it. So now I sat there with an empty chalkboard.
Oh.
And it was at the same time that I was looking at this book and realizing I need to make some subtle, small changes. So today I'm grateful for, and then I write
what you're grateful for
that day.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's there. It's in my kitchen. I see it regularly through the day. So it helps.
Yeah.
That has helped. It makes my heart feel good. Yeah. I just have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Today I'm thankful for cool tubs because it's so blasted
hot. A hot tub.
Yes.
Yeah.
We transitioned it. And last night we sat in there and it was delightful. So that's what I'm thankful for today.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
I love that. Well, that goes to the intention setting for the day, right?
Yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm. And you can do it when you meditate, or before you meditate, or when you're done meditating. I think the point is to just stop. That's the whole point, right?
It is. Yep.
Stop and think about what you want your day to feel like. And, you know, life happens and curveballs are thrown and other people are having bad days, which then brings stress to your day or what have you, right? It doesn't mean that you're never going to lose your cool because you set your intention to feel joy during the day, but to just stop for a minute and just hang on to and imagine, and then hang on to what that feels like for you. Today I'm thankful for cool tubs. How does that feel?
Right. Exactly.
Right?
It makes me feel like when I am stressed, not everything in the world is falling down around me. I have things that I'm grateful for.
Right.
Like, not everything is bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point. And I think you said this before, it's not about perfection.
No.
It's not flipping a switch. It's a practice.
It is.
And every moment is your chance to practice.
Right.
And sometimes you nail it and sometimes you don't. And that's okay.
Yeah. And then you're just reminded. When
Right.
you walk back in the kitchen, say, fine.
I'm grateful for something.
I'm grateful.
Right.
I may be really angry right now, or sad, or shocked, or disappointed,
Mm-hmm.
or overwhelmed, but I'm also grateful.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The next tab I have is talking about finding your spiritual community and living with intention. It could be, she talks about how you start with what you have to give. I'm on page 97.
Thanks.
It could be your time, your talent, your ideas, recipes, songs, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that you have to give to people, and it doesn't cost you anything, right? You want to find your spiritual community? Then stop asking how you can find a place to meet your spiritual needs, and instead connect where you can give joyfully to others. It's the difference in mindset between serve us, and service.
I fucking love language.
Mm-hmm.
First off, like, this comparison between the words serve us and service, like, it's bringing tears to my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the root of what that is. And I think, you learn language, but you don't really understand where it comes from,
right,
sometimes, or make those connections.
That you just don't think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
It is. Yeah.
So when I read this section, I see, your talents, your ideas, your recipes, your songs,
Mm-hmm.
the way you move throughout the world. I see things that essentially that goes in a basket of things that bring me joy. Like, I have a talent. Well, traditionally talents bring you joy,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
spend time doing them and working through them because
Sure.
they bring you joy. Ideas that you have, that brings you joy.
Yeah.
If you have a beloved recipe or you love to cook, that's joyful. So what she's saying is, like, find what brings you joy,
Mm-hmm.
and network and serve within that space, because you then are creating a ripple. Right? Like, this brings me joy. I'm going to share it and service with it to
Mm-hmm.
bring you joy too.
Mm-hmm.
And that expands and expands further and expands further. And that's your community. So
Mm-hmm.
it's joy based.
Right. Yeah, that's what she said. Find a place where you can give and everything else will follow. Joy, purpose, and transformation.
I guess I should have tapped that.
Yeah,
because
well,
I didn't.
I don't use enough tabs. I've tried telling you.
Turns it right around on me.
I could rip one in half if you would
No.
like to tab that.
No, you don't have to rip anything.
Could tear one in half. All right, what do you have next?
I don't have nearly enough.
All right.
You go
So
next.
I'm on page 108, and I never say this word right. Maybe you know how to say it.
Ayurvedic?
Ayurvedic?
Yes.
The Ayurvedic doshas.
Mm-hmm.
That there are 3 doshas, or mind-body types. Veda is air,
Mm-hmm.
Pitta is fire, and
Mhm.
Kapha is earth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why I tabbed that, but it seemed important to me in the moment. It says your physical body type tends to indicate your predominant dosha, but personality and temperament are also factors, and many of us are a combination of 2 doshas or all 3 of them.
Yes. So I did tab this too, and I find this intriguing.
Maybe that's why I tabbed it. Yeah, it's not sticking out at me right now, but go ahead.
There are, again, I'm like a novice at things. I look at and I read and I investigate a lot of things, but I'm not an expert in any of them. So Ayurvedic is really the Indian version of kind of like Chinese traditional medicine or traditional Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
So all the philosophies of these things, although there are nuances and there are differences and variations, the cores of these types of philosophies often run in the same direction.
Okay.
So because Deidre is very connected with yoga and Ayurvedic is very connected to that, I've done a fair amount of research. Like I could hold a conversation about it, but I'm not an expert. I also did a good amount of research when I was looking for the postpartum health, like meal planning for her. So that's why this intrigues me, because there are, like, for instance, if you're looking at wellness plans and your blood type is, a particular blood type has a predominant way to
eat for your type.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the same type of philosophy for this based on these doshas. But it is more along the, your spirit, like what your personality is with relation to. Are you somebody who is, for instance, like Vata would be somebody who kind of skips from here to there and goes really quickly from one thing to another.
Hummingbird-like.
Yes, very social and moves around very quickly. Maybe like doesn't stay focused on a particular thing for very long. Whereas
it says slim and willowy. That is definitely
it's not me. Right.
Definitely not me.
Pitta is somebody who's a little bit more fiery, like feisty and perhaps aggressive in a sort of way. Whereas Kapha is more somebody who is a little bit slower, a little bit like more focused.
Steady.
Yes.
Slow to anger.
Slow and steady, you know, wins the race type of thing.
A turtle even.
I was just going to say, when you say that you're part of a turtle club, that might be an indicator that you have a strong predominance to Kapha.
I think so. Yeah.
I know.
As I'm reading that section on page 109, that describes me a lot. A little bit of the Pitta or Pitta.
Yeah.
How do you say it? Pitta?
Pitta, I think.
That, like I have a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So that I might have a little combination of the two, but Kapha is probably
your predominant.
A little, yeah.
They have tests you can take.
Oh,
like
of course
things
they do.
You can
like
ask.
The Enneagram.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, I'll probably end up with all 4 of them in different ways.
There's
only
three.
3. I know. I'm not taking any more of those dang tests.
But
where's Marcy when you need her?
So based on this, it tells you, if you start to dive into these doshas, it tells you what are the types of foods and how to prepare those types of foods and what spices you should leverage to support the type that you are. And
that's interesting. That would be a fun experiment.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
In addition, for women, like all women, regardless of your dosha type, when you are postpartum, you have to reignite a fire.
Oh.
So that's where a lot of that comes from. Like you have to calm
foods.
You have to calm your vata. Calm your vata, girl. Veda, vata, I'm not sure which way I'm pronouncing it, and then light the fire, the digestive fire. So that's really where a lot of those ingredients and those recipes came from.
Okay.
Was this philosophy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That
was a lot. Sorry.
I don't have to be sorry. It's pretty cool. I don't know nearly enough I don't know anything about that, but that sounds like something that would be fun to dive into. So the next tab I have is on 117, and it's talking about what you just said, like where the meaning of our, how do you say it?
Ayurvedic.
Ayurveda.
Yeah.
Like where that comes from and how you support it, and food and ritual and things like that. I don't know why I tabbed this one on page 119, but it's in the check-in daily with how you feel, how you feel. I think there's a typo there.
Oh yeah.
When it's, are you feeling deprived? Are you trying to override your cravings with force? If so, then take the opportunity to reconnect with yourself and with your goals through one of the meditation exercises that she talks about in a different chapter. When we're feeling stressed out and out of balance, we're more likely to reach for junk food, processed foods. Our goals get derailed, and then realizing that keeping in mind that this isn't a quick fix.
Right. Well, that's exactly why you tabbed it. Like the action of doing this rather than just automatically going to the, foods that make you feel good.
Where are the chips?
Like every day, me. Like, why am I going to the pantry cupboard?
What am I really looking for?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Am I hungry? No, I'm
really.
not. What am I feeling right now?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that gets to the bottom of emotional eating then, doesn't it?
It does.
Ooh,
it does.
Beeps.
I'm nervous. I'm overwhelmed. I'm angry about something that just happened. I'm perplexed about a work issue. Like,
right.
I'm depressed. I'm stressed. I'm
Can we get ice cream?
Yes. I'm all of those things.
Well, that rolls nicely into how food is fuel. On page 132, how that if we only view food as fuel, we miss out on the way it truly nourishes and serves us. So while, it's great to think of food as just being fuel, that's, to your point, Lisa, that's often not why we eat or why we crave something. Even if it's something healthy, right? Even if you just need something crunchy because maybe you're anxious about something, so you reach for some carrots instead of potato chips.
Right.
It's still serving you in a way that is not just about fueling your body.
It is.
Because you're low on beta carotene or,
right.
whatever carrots have.
Right.
Yeah.
And that goes even further. And I say this as a person who loves to cook, and cooking for people is an extension of my love to them. So food is not just fuel, right? Whether it is in preparation, creating meals and servicing through that, there's far more to food than even just the emotional feeling that you might have when you're walking to, or driving to the ice cream shop.
Right.
But like, it is so much larger than that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Emotionally.
For sure. So I don't like to cook. I can cook, I just don't like to. And she talks about that. She said some of us view cooking and spending time in the kitchen as not our thing. And she says, in my mind, that's like saying you don't have time to exercise or take a shower. Cooking and eating well is an essential part of caring for our bodies. So, I still don't like to cook. And Josh loves it. That is probably not something I'm ever going to take back so long as he is interested in cooking. That's not to say that I can't help meal plan.
Right. So, this might be digging into something that you don't want scratched right now.
Oh, good. Thanks. Why don't we do that right now for all to hear, please? I hope it's a great big giant wound. Just pick it right open, Lisa.
Where's my pickaxe? Oh, here it is. It makes me wonder, Tammy.
Great. Sweating.
It just... Where are those carrot sticks when I need them?
Double ice cream now.
It makes me wonder if, that's an aversion for you, right? It is not a neutral thing for you. You do not like to do it.
I don't like to cook. No.
So it makes me wonder if that's a relationship that you need to investigate, right? So just a relationship with food that you need to investigate.
I'm staring at her with squinty
really,
eyes.
Really mean. Now I'm starting to sweat.
I know where it comes from.
Okay.
I absolutely know where it comes from.
Then you don't need to investigate it.
I already know.
Okay.
Yeah. It's already there.
So, Paige.
Moving on. Food was not a good thing in my house growing up.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
I get that.
There was a lot of punishment tied to food.
Yeah.
A lot.
I get that. Definitely.
Yeah. It was something to just hurry up and get through.
Right.
It was not something
Unscathed.
to enjoy. If you're lucky.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
Yeah. And I'm not and I know where that came from too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is generational. This is not, I'm not blaming anybody. It's just factual.
It is, right. 1,000%,
Mm-hmm.
right? That transcends generations.
For sure.
Also, I think, like, I didn't always love to cook. When I was younger and my kids were small, somebody asked me if I enjoyed cooking, and I looked at them like they had, just dropped off of the banana tree.
Yeah.
And I said, I cook to eat. But that's the phase that I was at in my life. Like, when I got
something
home,
to hurry up and get done.
Yeah, when I got home, I had 2 hungry kids, and I had other shit that I had to get done.
Yeah.
So I cooked to eat. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I derive a different sense of joy from it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, what do you got?
178 I have.
Okay, I'm on 160. She talks about be in your body. And what she means by that is to try to remember a time when you had a great relationship with your body and the way that nourishing it made you feel. It might be challenging.
Yeah, I was
and
going to say
you might have to go back to when you were 5 or, something like that. But try to find some time. Hopefully you have something that you can remember back on when your body felt strong and capable and you used it to enjoy life.
Yeah.
That's what I say to myself. I don't need to be super slim. I don't need to be really fit. I just want to be able to move my body when I want to move it, in the way I want to move it, to do the things that I want to do so I can enjoy my life. Mm-hmm. And the longer I sit on the couch, the less likely I am to attain those things. So that's the internal,
dialogue
battle I'm having with myself is you really should get up and do this, but I don't have the energy to do that.
Right.
But if you want to be able to do that tomorrow, you really should do this today.
And again, it's circular. Like, you can't get one without the other.
Right.
Yes. I thought long and hard about that, and I think I deliberately didn't tab it.
Oh, really?
Well,
a gaping wound that we could scratch at, Lisa?
A little bit.
Let me find my pickaxe.
Because I did a quick flashback in my life as to when I had a good relationship with my body.
Yeah.
And when I looked my best on the outside, like, I worked out very regularly. I was muscular. I was, I felt good. I looked good, and I was sick as fuck. So that's
interesting.
That for me, like, I have to dive into that a bit. That's not an easy, I felt good, and my body was working for me at this time, because
it wasn't.
I wasn't. And to your point, I may have had a very in shape physical appearance at the time, but I was an emotional garbage can.
Yeah.
So it isn't as
interesting.
It isn't as disconnected to say, when did you feel good in your body?
Right.
Because it isn't all physical.
You didn't really feel good in your body.
Right. I looked fucking fabulous.
Right.
Like, fabulous.
I remember you did.
But I was not.
You were not fabulous.
Not at all.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So if I can be fat and fabulous versus, like,
again, I don't care.
A 6-pack garbage can, I guess I'll take a little chub.
A little extra fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I don't need to be don't need to be on the cover of a fitness magazine.
Right.
Like, that is not my goal.
Right.
I don't care about that. I honestly don't really even care about how I look so much. But I do want to be able to do the things I want to do when I want to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that is go for a hike or walk up and down the stairs
Right.
or sit on the floor and play with my grands. Like,
right.
whatever that means in any given moment is different.
And again, I know this is crossing lines to other episodes, but that comes along with aging. Like, I'm okay to not look fan-fucking-tastic.
Like I did when I was 20. I don't
Right.
need to do that.
Right. But to your point, I would like to be very functional.
Absolutely.
And I can
Right.
let my body age the way it's supposed to.
Right. Yeah. Great.
Just great. Carry on.
Yeah.
So 178 I have.
All right.
I just wanted to point out again, I really appreciate the feel good style of goals. Like it removes the observation, the outside appearance, and how do you feel instead? Because that really is going to be, in my opinion, what drives you to success. Rather than looking at the outcome, just focus on how you feel.
Right.
And you will get the outcome if you feel good doing it.
Right. As opposed to forcing yourself.
Yes.
And it's torture every time you have to
Right. Because
go to the gym or whatever.
If you're me, you're going to fucking quit. So
Right.
you're not going to get your outcome.
No.
Because you didn't feel good doing it.
Absolutely. And she talks about that on page 180. Moving well that means don't force it.
Right.
Right? We have come to believe that more is, and maximum effort is maximum return. And I joined a boot camp
Club.
It wasn't even a club. I don't know where that came from. I joined a boot camp. This was a number of years ago. And while it did feel, it was painful in the moment, it was really, really hard. And at the end of the summer, I just did it for a summer. I looked fantastic.
Yeah,
I felt terrible.
Yeah.
I was strong. I did feel good in my body in some ways. But I had completely depleted my adrenals.
Yeah.
It was way too hard and way too stressful. It was 6 days of working out really, really, really hard. 5 days for sure. That was like maximum effort for maximum results.
Yeah.
But it wasn't sustainable for me. Maybe some people are great with that. It was not sustainable for me. And it left me in some ways worse off than I was when I started. So part of my aversion to exercise is that experience.
Yeah. And again, that holistic place, where were you holistically that, were you capable of giving that amount of energy?
Not really.
Right. But you
really.
did it.
But I did it because I was
trying.
Right. I forced it. I was trying to get to a result.
Yes.
I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to be a smaller size.
Yes.
I met that goal.
Right.
But there was a big cost to pay for that.
Right.
A cost that I feel like I'm still paying for, because now it's turned me into a place where any amount of stress, I run away from. I'm like, oh, they're too much. I don't want to be in that place again.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't disagree.
So, moving your body more naturally and efficiently instead of forcing it might be more beneficial for me. Specifically.
Yeah.
And redefining exercise. She talks about that on page 193. It could just be creative with finding ways to move your body and finding those opportunities. And things that we hear about all of the time. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Park further away from the front door of the store so you just get a few extra steps in. Just creating moments to get 5 or 10 minutes of moving around. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour sweat session in the gym in order for it to be exercise.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that hard.
I also had 2 tabs in these 2 pages.
What?
I know. 192.
Lisa, you better be careful.
And 193.
Use them all up.
It was interesting to listen to her, because I listened to it, talking about being more effective or efficient with your energy, right? And she reframed that to it was exercise, right? She did do what she had set out to do, but she framed it in a sense of efficiency, with an efficient use of energy.
Right.
And then really honing in to be able to say, listen, if the word exercise turns you off, right, then reframe what that looks like, what it requires from you, what kind of feelings it conjures up, what kind of emotions or connects to in your life, so that it doesn't make it a feeling of stress. And what you're saying about boot camp and that if you distill that all the way down, that was stress.
It was, right. Your body doesn't know the difference between emotional stress, mental stress, physical stress. It doesn't know the difference.
Right.
It's just all stress.
Right. So change what you're doing so that it is not connected to a stressful feeling.
Right.
It goes back to those feeling goals, right?
Yeah, right.
I want to feel comfortable while I move my body.
And relaxed.
Right.
And yes. Yeah, for sure. So I'm on, last tab I have is on page 219. Talks about seasonal movement. Which
we just talked about this.
Yeah.
In our planning session.
Right. But when you live in Wisconsin, it's not easy to do that. Some people are snow bunnies and they love winter. They love to be in the snow. They love the cold. I am not one of those people. Cold hurts me.
It doesn't mean you have to have exercise outside, though. It can be, so from a seasonal perspective, and I didn't tab this, so I don't know what she wrote.
I'm trying to read it as you're talking.
But
so go ahead.
I'll go slow.
Okay.
But from a seasonal perspective, your body has a tendency to go within. You should really move slower. There should be less active stress.
Yeah.
It should internalize. So if that means movement like Tai Chi, for instance, which is a very slow moving, wave-like type of exercise, then perhaps that's what you do as you're coming into autumn and winter season, when your body is saying slow down. If
that makes sense.
In spring and in summer, when it's more active or fire-based,
come out of your shell.
Yes.
Start exploring.
Yes. Then you do.
Maybe that's when you go on hikes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. You do more active type of movement.
Right.
So, that's fair. I get that. I get that.
Yeah. That whole section, it's a couple of paragraphs on page 219, she talks about exactly that. That it just stuck with me. So exercise does not look the same year round.
No. Not even close.
Right. I love that.
Me too.
It doesn't get boring.
Neither does eating.
If you eat seasonally?
Yes. It should change with the seasons.
So have we gotten away from both exercising seasonally and eating seasonally? We have gyms now, so you can go and do the same sorts of things year round.
Yes. To
the gym, and we can eat however we want because we've got groceries that
imports, exports.
Yes, right.
The same thing. Scott and I just had this conversation today. In fact, the same thing from so seasonal is a macro perspective of that, right? The highs and the lows, the calms, the actives, but each day is like that too, where there are certain periods of the day, which it's like a active and a slow period. It's what do you eat in the mornings versus the midday versus the evenings, like that, and what kind of action do you have during those days. So you can look at it from a full year perspective, or you can look at it from a 24-hour perspective.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
It is. I don't do it, but I do find it intriguing.
Yeah.
I need to start acting on some of these things. I know a lot, I just don't do it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I need more tabs.
All right. We'll go after ice cream. We'll buy you some.
Well, that's all I've got in this book.
I think Culver's has tabs, but they have numbers on them.
They do. They're stickers now.
I know. They're tabs. I'll get you some there.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, I think that's the end of this book then, huh?
Let's wrap that up.
That is wrap that up.
Yeah.
I think this might be one that I want to take another look at and do a little bit at a time. Like take the first,
agree.
I don't know. Her chapters are not all that defined, I feel like, but take the first section and focus on that and see if I can integrate one or two things from that section into my life, and then take the next little section and the next little section. I'm a turtle. I need to do this slowly. I can't just jam all this in
in a month.
No.
We talked about that in our first, like
episode.
This is not, for me, this is not a 28-day plan.
No.
This might be like a 180-day plan. Like
easily.
That's possible, but not in a month.
No. No, not with busy lives and busy schedules. It feels like that I can't take my focus off of everything else and just put it into this.
And it's not going to be sustainable.
No.
If you go that fast.
Again, with the forcing
integrate,
it then, right? Now it feels like boot camp.
Right, exactly. I can't integrate this
No.
to the core of my foundation if I'm trying to ram it in 28 days.
Right. It's not just something that I can... I mean, I could make my bed every day. I don't even do that. So, that's not even easy.
Right.
Apparently.
Well, it's easy. It's just not a habit. Yeah.
I sort of make my bed. I just don't make it every day.
I didn't today.
I pulled the covers up.
I didn't.
It's made-ish.
Todd. Hey,
yes.
Todd. Thank you. Thank you so very much for every single week dealing with us, first off, and all of your efforts that you put in to make this successful for us.
Absolutely. If you're thinking about doing a podcast, reach out to Mind Garden Media. They can give you some really great insight and tips and tools and guidance and a little bit of cheerleading and maybe a little push and a nudge every now and then too.
Agree.
So Mind Garden Media is where it's at if you're looking to do a podcast yourself. And thank you to our listeners, as always. We very much appreciate you hanging in there with us and following along and sending us notes and comments on our Facebook page and Instagram. Also, we're Riding Side Saddle Podcast. You can find us both of those places. We're on YouTube and
wherever you
Spotify,
listen to your podcast.
wherever you listen to your podcasts, Audible, things like that. So please continue to follow along, and if any of this hits home in any sort of way, or you get a little chuckle or think of somebody who might benefit from hearing some of these podcasts, please do share them. Like, follow,
and share with us, because that ripple, we love it when that ripple comes back to us.
Absolutely.
All right.
Subscribe, smash all the buttons, and tune in next time.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.